Welcome to Real Geek Media. It is July 12th, 2024. I am Hayden Stoll. He is Christopher Michael Blake. It is time for our weekly Acolyte review. All right, we are here to talk about this new episode. We're going to talk about our thoughts. We had a little poll that we ran. And then we're going to talk a little bit about predictions for the finale. Let me give you guys the tale of the tape for this episode before we dive in. This episode is titled Choice, directed by episode 3 director Kogonada, written by Charmaine DeGrate, Jen Richards, and Jasmine Flournoy. Air date of July 9th, 2024. Before we get into it, Christopher, how you doing?
Hayden, you had a choice to watch this or not, and you elected to watch this.
Yeah.
I think I'm still retching. I've caught something about 3 days ago when this came out, and it's gone viral, unfortunately. And yeah.
So this one, we got our flashback, and I gotta say, I'm surprised they didn't do like a little bumper at the beginning of this. And my thoughts were, we're going to get this. We're going to hear Soul say, "May, you're going to listen to me, and this is the story. This is how it unfolded." But what we get instead is the 16 years ago on Brendok. And earlier during our reviews, it might have been around the time we did episode 3, I had said that, we're going to get the Rashomon episode where we're going to see it from a different point of view, stealing from Akira Kurosawa's film Rashomon. Now, we don't quite get that because when done right, you get that character's perspective start to finish. This, we sort of get the Jedi, then we sort of get, inside the witches' commune. We're not getting that one narrative that is actually going to shed some light on this story. They showed us a whole half-hour episode's worth of stuff we kind of already knew. Am I wrong?
So there's nothing in this episode that they could not have put in episode 3 and just condensed it and given us both perspectives. Just Absolutely. In my opinion,
agreed.
This is essentially them saying, well, we're going to give you the Jedi perspective. And what's the Jedi perspective? You got the Wookiee on a treasure hunt with the metal detector. They're looking for something called divergence. Soul's out there smoking grass, right? That he's collected in this bin, right? And they're looking for this vergence. Well, what's divergence? Oh, well, I don't really know what it is. It's just something we have to look for. Well, you're not supposed to know that. So you're actually looking for something that you don't know what you're looking for.
Now, they were on this planet for 7 weeks. This is like part of the dialogue that they say. We're here 7 weeks. Explain to me how you have a spaceship. How did you not see the tower fortress of commune of the witches? You didn't see that?
It was a mining facility, am I right? It was a mining facility at one point?
Now, you couldn't scan for life forms. This is something we've seen throughout Star Wars, that they scan for life forms.
I can almost forgive the writers for not sending the probe droid down instead of them sending 4 Jedi who have better things to do with their time. I can really almost forgive that, okay? Because, again, you're trying to pack everything into 25 minutes, 28 minutes. So I can forgive them for that. What I can't forgive them for is, again, the flip-flop nature of most of these characters. And we're going to start with Torin, Toman, pale white guy.
Master Torben. Yes, Master Torben.
Okay. Mm-hmm. The one who does all the solved jigsaw puzzles, right, him. So, you're not supposed to have any wants and desires as a Jedi. That leads to the dark side. That's a path to the dark side. The same thing happened to Anakin. He wanted to try to save Padme. And that's where Palpatine really kind of got him and influenced him, telling him all the stories about, hey, we can rejuvenate and bring people back from the dead, and all these things can happen. But instead of making it something that, is actually desirable, the writers ran out of ideas, and they said, well, he just wants to go home. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna do like the Wizard of Oz on him, and essentially you're gonna drop your house on these people, and you're gonna get your red slippers from the witches, and you're gonna click your heels 3 times, and then you get to go home. Maybe I don't buy that. I mean, what's he supposed to do? He's gonna go in there and take on a couple. He's already shown that he can't handle one witch by himself. Anastasia entered his mind and said, "You want to go home?" And he was like, "I want to go home." Look,
I agree, and it's, you got to think, like, put yourself in his shoes. Like, I'm a Padawan learner. I'm learning and trying to progress as a Jedi. Oh, we have a mission. Oh, I'm going to be all about this mission, even if it's picking seeds or scanning a metal detector through the weeds to see if they can find the plot. I just don't get how are they writing these characters? Jedi are not meant to do this. And all of them exhibit something. Maybe not so much the Wookiee, but Soul, it turns into a creepy, just bizarre, creepy. And
like I told you in episode 3, get in the van. Here's some candy. Get in the van.
That's what it turns into. He senses this character. He senses a connection to Osha. Huh? That's weird.
Well, not only is it weird, Hayden, but Carrie-Ann Moss is almost like ripping his character at one point. Like, I know more than you as a Jedi Master because I have a Padawan and you don't.
Yeah.
Nanny boo-boo.
Right.
And
yeah.
I'm like,
basically, yeah.
Since when do Jedi like elevate themselves and put themselves above other people? And
very bizarre writing. Very bizarre.
It's like the most unprofessional Jedi gathering that we could find. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's like, where can we send these Jedi that they're not going to get into trouble with each other? Oh, I know. We'll have them pick weeds out in the Outer Rim, looking for something called divergence that we made up.
Well,
so the Jedi Council, see, that would be more interesting. The Jedi Council sends these scrubs out to the Outer Rim to Brendok to go look for something, and they actually stumble across something, and they fuck it up so bad. It's like, we can't tell the truth at the end of this, because if it does, we're going to get expelled from the Jedi Council. So we're going to tell the truth.
It's such brutal writing.
But it would be the better story I just told.
There are so many better stories, and a lot of it has come from the community that's critiquing this show and following along with it, watching it week to week and spouting off ideas, all of which are better than what is actually shown. And that says a lot. Now, you bring up the Vergence, and this is not a new concept for Star Wars. This is episode 1. Vergence around, a person. That was one of the plot points of Qui-Gon discovering and uncovering Anakin. Right? Now here it's used in a Vergence, and they kind of just get real like nebulous with the whole thing. It's a Vergence. Is it a person or is it a thing? Is it a this? Is it a that? And we go on to just the most asinine things that these Jedi are doing, spying on little kids, and you could see what they might be trying to show that Soul is seeing, and he's fearing for these kids. One specific thing, when they're testing May and they're talking about the Ascension, and May misspeaks what Anastasia told her about the Ascension. It's, you walk through fear, and we all have to sacrifice a part of ourselves or a part of something. What May says is we are sacrificed, which freaks Soul out. Like, they're going to kill these kids. And I see what they're doing, but it doesn't come off right in the show. It looks just odd. And then you get the point where Torben is like, I just want to go home. I'm going to go kidnap the kids. And Soul goes to follow him. But like you said, he wasn't prepared the first time, Torben. because they entered his mind and had him possessed for a minute. And when they do that, you see inside his perspective, and here you're going to think, okay, all right, she's in his head. Maybe she's getting like real close to him. Maybe she's going to give me her deepest, darkest desires. And he's like, I just want to go home. And they double down on it. And you're like, what? And at the end, you still have to remember this character killed himself over all of this. Why?
What makes it even worse is that, because you're not wrong what you just said. You know, why did he kill himself? You know, they're having this scene where Zabarak and they just killed Anastasia, right? After she goes bat form with the smoke and looks like she's going to swallow up May.
Turns into a freaking Dementor from Harry Potter.
But and, you know, I was going to say World of Warcraft or something, but like Arthas from like World of Warcraft. But I don't understand. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. But how can you stab a being through the chest? There's a cloud of smoke.
It almost seemed like he pulls the saber, he sticks it into the smoke, and she reforms right on top of it.
And then she has the balls to gaslight him.
Oh,
she gaslit him, right?
You know,
she goes, I was gonna let him go. I was gonna let her go.
Yeah. And meanwhile, 2 minutes before, she says, "You should not have come here." What? I should not have come here. Now I just killed you by accident. Now you're telling me I was gonna let her go? At the end of the day, this whole thing, I can't fault the Jedi for doing anything they did. I don't look at it like, they're bad. They tried to make them look bad. At the end of the day, they're defending themselves because they're attacking Torben. They're possessing the Wookiee. Soul is completely, freaked out. And I could see why he would be that way. She disapparates into this smoke monster from Lost. And he's looking over and May starts to, disappear. And he's just like, nope, I'm going to stop this. I get it. But it's very poorly done. These Jedi are all idiots. The one thing I did like about this episode was when Kelnaka was fighting Torben and Soul. I enjoyed that little part of it. But
again, I could not wrap my head around where he's got his hand on Torben's head.
Oh, he should have crushed his head.
And that's what I'm sitting there thinking to myself. And I'm like, and why is it taking 50 witches or 30 witches or 20 witches to sit there and chant and to get into one Wookiee's mind when it took one head witch to get into Torben's mind? And then all of a sudden, Carrie-Ann Moss does the Matrix out of nowhere. And
this is the favorite part of the episode for me.
And she comes over and she puts her hand and she, I guess, mind blasts Kelnaka.
She's trying to expel these possession, right? Like
right. And all these people drop dead for no reason.
That was the
really
best. At first I thought, they're not dead. So they're all still alive. The commune is still there. And then I had to go back and watch, and you put on like the audio description of it. And it's basically, they dropped dead. That was it. They might as well have played that noise because it's perfect for that. And they're all like rocking back and forth, holding each other's hands, and then they just flop. And it looks ridiculous. And let me give you this part too, which made no sense to me. Soul has the choice, right? He sees the bridge is broken. Osha's on one side, May's on the other, and he's holding the bridge instead of holding the 50-pound kids. Like, why? Let me ask you this question. You're, as a writer, like, is this not a scenario that you look to avoid? Or is it oversight? Did they just not think? I'm not really clear on why you would make that choice. Of all the reasons and ways you can get rid of May, this is what they went with.
I know what you're thinking is that they named this the choice because Saul had the choice to try to save May or Osha. And he ends up saving Osha because he felt a connection with Osha. But what if it's not? What if the choice is really May's? And I'm going to give you this one here, all right? Right? Again, I'm just speculating here. I think that it's actually surface level. I'm not going to delve any deeper into it. But here's May, the entire episode. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make a choice to go in there and follow what my mom says. I want to become part of this covenant. I've already taken the initiation, and and now here I am. The Zabarak evil chick is telling me go ahead, and she's gaslighting me, telling me go ahead and be evil.
Hulk smash.
Right. But she's telling her, go ahead and go do all this stuff. And then after you almost lit your sister on fire, here's May coming back to her sister saying, "Oh, Osha, help me. Right. Be with me, and we got to do this together." Disregard the fact that I just tried to burn you down, to kill you, a couple minutes earlier. That could be forgotten. But that's par for the course, right?
Right.
But is it May's choice at that point that she doesn't know what she's doing, or is it because of the theory that these are really two people from the same, split from the one person?
One consciousness.
Right. I mean, is that because one's good and one's bad, or one's
right?
I mean, is that what they alluded to?
It seems like it is, and the part where she's got the little sketchbook or whatever it was, that book that she burned, and she burns it, and then you could see her panic, like, oh crap, it's on fire, I got to put it out.
She actually tries to stomp it out, which she didn't see in the first episode.
Right.
The third episode.
So she tries to stop it. And I guess that's supposed to be she just kind of was impulsive there, and she didn't really mean to. But then the kerosene gets on the bricks, which should burn out because it's bricks and stone. But then the whole place goes up and everything blows up. So yeah, I'm not really. I just don't like how they arrived at this stuff. And literally when I'm watching this episode and I'm just like, I'm yelling at the TV. I was like, what are we doing? It's so poorly written, and you had mentioned to me, you started Andor.
I started the first episode. I haven't time to watch anything else, but it was a great first episode, because I'll give you the difference between, in my opinion, one episode of Andor versus now 7 episodes of The Acolyte. The first episode of Andor, for those of you who haven't seen it, spoiler warnings here. He's on a planet. He's looking for his sister. And he ends up having to kill 2 guards who were in this area. And they're doing some flashback scenes, and they're giving you just enough of something's going to happen. They're teasing it just enough that, again, we don't know what's going on. It looks like they're going to war, or because they're speaking in an alien language. They're giving you enough exposition to know something happens with his sister through those flashbacks. But they're also giving you enough of the character in the present day, where he owes people money. He's a deadbeat. He seems to have a certain reputation among all these people as a hustler, as a trade, is basically a foot flame artist at this point. And I don't have to be told, well, this is what he is and what he's doing. I can see it for myself because the writing is just that good in terms of what's going on. He's a guy who can handle himself. He gets into tough places. He hangs out with shady people. This is who he has connections to, some underground people and what they're working with. It's enough exposition without having to rub it in my face and tell me, well, this is what's going on, as opposed to this, The Acolyte, where it's like, well, I'm going to flip-flop over here today, and tomorrow I'm going to do this. And, oh, by the way, what I did 5 minutes ago, just ignore, because that doesn't no longer matter. And I've now changed my mind and my character 5 different times. So this is my opinion of what the first episode of Andor versus this is. So
yeah, and it's like apples to oranges. The Andor, well written. It looks gritty. It looks real. It looks like you feel like tension in scenes. You feel claustrophobic in scenes. It's not shot on a stage. It's in a real place. And versus Acolyte, and everything looks clean. We're just going to turn the stage a little bit, and look, it's a different place, and it looks cheap for all the money they spent on it. And the actors that are involved that can't emote. Amanda Stenberg plays this two characters the exact same way, and it's mind-boggling. This show is mind-boggling.
But it's not now on purpose because those two characters are the same person.
It very well may be. It very well may be.
And
that does not excuse the horrible acting, though.
No, and again, 16 years apart, you would think, you're going to have a little bit different range of emotions. You've grown some. You've loved, you've lost.
Right, yep.
But
even the kids that they have acting, they're two different twins. They're twins, but you tell they're two different people. Distinctly. And you have Amanda Stenberg.
That doesn't bother me so much.
I don't know. I think if you have a better actor in your lead role, I think would help a lot. Especially in this role where her reactions and to everything is the same. And it's just enough already. And unfortunately, she's not in this episode.
So this is all along now. So for the last 6 episodes, I've been telling you that Quaimar was, basically the Sith apprentice. And it was my gut feeling that Anastasia was still alive and pulling the strings. Mm. And it appears I was wrong. I will admit that. But it does look like it's possibly the Zabarik lady who may be the master.
Yeah. Could be. Possible. Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because, again, we got the force push from Quaimar. And they even came out so far in episode 4 to come out and say, or was it episode 5? Oh, my mother used to do that.
Right.
And
there's nothing.
We didn't see the Zabarik lady die.
Right.
Mother Coral died.
Disapparates into smoke.
Does she?
No,
I didn't see that part.
No, she right before they show Kelnaka possessed, she disapparates into smoke, and you don't see her again.
And that's the thing. So we know she didn't die with the rest of the coven.
Yeah, she's out there somewhere.
Is she the one who saves May? We certainly know she has a propensity toward the dark side based on what she told May.
Right. You're right, because we didn't see May survive. We didn't see how she survived. You're right. And that's a missing piece. And I hope we don't have that next week's half-hour episode.
Well, that's the thing. And you kind of said at the beginning of this episode, and I wrote it down also, because I have my notes. And there are a lot of big plot holes that they need to fix. Can they correct everything in 30 minutes satisfactorily next week?
I think there may tie a few loose ends. But one thing that they're not going to tie is this mysteriousness of Khmer and that whole thing. I really don't think they're going to tie that. I think Sol will be tied up next week. I don't think he makes it out of episode 8.
Agree with you.
But Khmer, Osha, I think there's going to be still a loose thread there that they're hopeful they can play with in season 2, if there is a season 2. Do you have any predictions for the finale?
I think that the biggest question I have right now for all of this is, are Osha and May a split of the same person? Are they a split of the Virgins that they were one person and Mother Coral and Anastasia kind of were playing around and they split these two people apart? And are they going to team up to try to beat Quaimar at the end? Or are they going to try to set this up we're going to leave you with a cliffhanger so you have to see season 2? That's a good question. I mean, because again, you still have the Dominatrix Jedi running around who has to pop up with her Jedi Sim.
God. Yeah, she's got to show up somewhere.
Quaimar, Sol couldn't, and 7 Jedi couldn't beat Quaimar. Now you're going to have Sol going against Quaimar while May's tied up.
There's no way. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So he's basically running into a lost cause. And why he's such a hurry to go do this, I can't really kind of tell you. Yeah.
I have, like you had just brought up a moment ago about how everything is like deliberate. Everything is they're showing their hand, right? They'll make a comment and then later on they're going to see it, right? You had said, my mother showed me that, right? With the force push. Now, one of the things that was an early thread that they had was Kamir talking with May about, oh, the master's going to send me on this assignment and I got to kill a Jedi without a weapon. How do I do that? How do I do that? That's impossible. My prediction. Osha kills Sol through force choke or some means where there's no weapon. And I think Osha turns and becomes the Acolyte at the end of the series, episode 8. That's my prediction. Everything is kind of foreshadowed. Everything is kind of left hanging. And
what's her motivation to kill Sol, though?
well, see, this is where the crappy writing comes in. She has none, but unless Kamir basically tells her, and this is another thing, how does he know all this? What is his role to play with the witches and with either Mother Coral or May? How does he discover May? All that. There's so much to tie up that there's no way they're going to be able to. If this episode is 35 minutes like the rest of these are, there's not enough time. I mean, they were talking like sitcom length episodes, right? There's too much. So that is something that's open. What her motivation is, she's going to have to learn the truth either when Sol comes to save her and Kamir basically lays it out and, in a moment of anger, she takes him down, paving the path to be the new Acolyte for Kamir.
Let me ask you a question, okay? You're on the Jedi Council.
Mm-hmm.
All right, these people come back from this mission. We had this coven of witches, and this is what happened. They kind of burnt their own place down, and we managed to save this little girl. She's force sensitive. Don't mind that Jedi Master Klendaka is now going AWOL following this mission, and it's probably go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, drawing star maps in his hovel, and that Master Toman is now floating in a force field gravity of his own choosing, off-world. And that, basically Carrie Ann Moss decided to hang out in a bar for the rest of her life.
No red flags at any of that.
I mean, it's like, don't worry about all that. I mean, look, obviously nothing happened. You guys are good.
There's definitely a cover-up as well. That I don't know how they arrive at it because it's so sloppy. But Vernestra, the Green Jedi, there has to be some form of cover-up. Because how does this go unchecked? All these Jedi dead.
We haven't seen her arc yet either, right? Because obviously
we've
she's
seen
the one who's Quymir, right?
Yeah.
So now she's going to have to come, and I mean, we haven't even delved into that one yet.
Yeah.
And again, but you got 25, 30 minutes to go ahead and make this happen.
Yeah. How does it get tied up? There's no way.
So I mean, what is the story going to be like? Okay, here comes Sol's ship. He's going to run down, come out of the cave with his lightsaber, go battle Quymir, and then to make possible what you said, he's going to have to beat Quymir, be on the verge of killing him, and then Osha's going to have to step in and kill Sol to prevent him from killing Quymir, because now she's got the hots for him. That's the motivation. I gave it to you.
It's so brutal.
I mean, that's a guess. Nobody seems to know.
Listen, but that's the thing. A lot of people are talking about, Osha and Quymir. Oh, this is great. And I'm just like, they're the bad guys.
Now, I have a question for you, because this is it relates to a video I was watching today on arc writing. Your character's at least supposed to go somewhere, especially your main character. Where have Osha and May actually gone so far on their journey in 7 episodes?
I feel like nowhere.
And that's the thing. Is May any less of a bad guy at this point?
She had a lot of motivation in episode 4 to flip, right? Episode 5. And that was when we had said it on our show. Oh, she was interesting because she had like an epiphany oh, I'm going to turn myself in. I need to be with my sister. Episode 5 comes around. It's like that conversation never even happened.
Let me force push her into a brick and then steal her clothes.
Right.
And then now you got Osha, who she was expelled from the Jedi Order. She quit or by her own accord, whichever one it was. Hey, now we're going to take you into custody, and now we're going to put you on this prison barge, and you happen to crash. Now here comes Soul coming to Hamma, come save you, and I need your help to go find your sister because I know your sister's still alive now. Have you seen anything out of Osha so far? Now, I mean, if you want to say episode 6, that, hey, all right, she's talking to Quimir, and he's kind of infiltrating and manipulating her a little bit. Okay, but is her arc going to be the bad guy turn, like you said? I think
she's
for her at this point,
I think she's full on heel turn. She's going to the dark side. There's no turning back. I think if there's a season 2, May is going to try, and it's going to be flip flop. She's going to try and save Osha, and I think that's where we're going to get if there is even a season 2 for this.
There's a reason I disagree with you. Only one. I can't say you're not right, or you certainly know more Star Wars canon than I do. And that's that Disney will never portray their lead female characters as evil like that.
Well, they don't consider this evil. This whole show is basically glorifying that the Jedi are bad and the Sith have their reasons. That's basically what this show is.
But basically, if she's doing a heel turn and she's killing her former Jedi master...
Well, he was a kidnapper, and that's their reasoning. I mean, listen, Leslie Headland writes what she knows, right? And that's, serving up people to Harvey Weinstein. That's what she's going to write.
That's...
I mean, it's hard to listen. It's hard to get past watching this show, knowing that, and you see some of this stuff in it.
That's not the reason they'll have given it, but okay. Look, everybody's entitled to their own opinion at this point. You say that Leslie Headland's out there with the candy bar trying to get kids into the van, or models into the van. Oh, okay. Hey, look, I believe you. I mean, I haven't seen it, but hey, that's okay. I just think that there's a lot of a lot of bad writing, a lot of bad arc writing in this story. Even Soul to this point.
Oh man,
he's one of the stronger characters in the story. He keeps telling you he's got his reasons for not saying what happened. But if you sit down and you break down what actually did happen was, Osha, I came because I was concerned about your safety with this ceremony, and they infiltrated the mind of my young Padawan and turned him and made him think that, when I arrived to chase after him to stop him, I saw that you were in danger because there was a fire going on. And when we entered the coven, we were attacked. And May was in danger, and I tried to save May. I mean, that's all the truth.
It is.
I mean, look. How did my coven mothers die? Well, they infiltrated the Wookiee's mind and were brainwashing him to try to kill me.
Right.
And one of my Jedi friends had to come in and stop him. And she didn't mean to kill everybody, but guess what?
That was collateral damage.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is what it was at that point.
But that's an honest accounting of what happened, and that's all he had to say.
And how does May not remember the stabbing of Anastasia at that point, right? By Soul.
Right.
Now she's
it was right in front of her.
She's standing there with the dagger on the ship in episode, 6, and I could take this dude out from behind his back and it'd be all over.
Man.
Even while he's kind of like, no, let me help you up instead and take you back to the ship. Well, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Man.
I mean, I really. So, again, for me, it's the character arcs from a lot of different characters. It's just not May and Osha. It's also Soul. It's also Toman or Torben or Quimir seems to be the only one so far with the legitimate arc that seems to be coming because his master used to at least beat him with the Jedi whip because she wanted him to be the simp, and he was like, hey, I'm not the simp Kayan. You got me. Go pick on this guy over here.
It's funny. I have written down, and it's like
Jedi simp.
No,
Oh, okay.
Kimura he's the most compelling character in this show. The entire show is him. And part of it is the double role that he's playing as the Rite Aid clerk, and then he becomes this tone change to this very sinister, serious, method. Here's my methodology. I'm, the Jedi are wrong. I'm just trying to live my life and use my power, and it's the only character at this point for me that is, oh, okay, let's see what's going on here. I was that way with Soul, but like this episode, I don't know. Well, like I said, I look at everything that unfolded and the way you just described it. I mean, I don't think the Jedi really did a whole lot wrong here.
Well, if you want to say that they broke into the Coven in the first place.
That was wrong. That's true. But even then...
Look, they're breaking and entering, and then it's like, oh, we're here because we think these children are in danger and we want to test them, and it's their right to be tested, and international law. And they're like, well, it doesn't really kind of apply here, and you guys could really go scratch. What then? What are the Jedi left to do then?
Right. But again, who was the aggressor? That you got the smoke monster thing. I really think that whole thing, while it was surprising when it happened, I feel like we could have seen them do this at some point earlier in the season. You know what I mean? Like, that was just like, what the heck is this?
Was there any revelations in this episode that you sat there and said, I'm glad they waited another 4 episodes to drop?
None.
And the answer is no. And this all could have been done in episode 3.
Yep. 100% agree. 100% agree.
And probably added 10 minutes of film.
Mm-hmm. Because that's essentially how much new footage we got, was maybe 10 minutes.
Do we need to see the perspective from Soul of the girls fighting each other? No. Nope. You could have panned the camera up there and see Soul up in the corner.
Yeah,
you could have done that.
That's all you.
Yeah, I mean that's right. You didn't need to see. I don't know. Again, it's just for me.
Yeah, this was the.
There were no revelations here. This nothing happened here. This was a nothing burger episode, and it's a shame that this is going to be the climax that they kind of built all this treason on. They
could have put all that stuff into 3. And then you have this episode setting up the finale, and you have more time to kind of really get to where you need to be. Because I feel like they're so far off from where they need to be with another half-hour episode coming up. There's just too much left hanging, and that's fine. You want to leave a cliffhanger, no problem. But I just don't think they're going to be able to stick the landing here.
Not in the time frame that they're given at this point. Again, I think Mother Coral has to make an appearance. I think the Dominatrix Jedi has to make an appearance.
Yeah.
I think there has to be some kind of fight where Soul. I totally agree with you 100%. Soul loses. And
he's not making it out. There's no way.
No, there's, not a bad actor in my opinion. Just
I liked him.
He's got to deal with what he's got to deal with here.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. It was a tough episode, man. This was the one episode. I mean, some of these other episodes are not great, but this one just really, when I was done watching it, I was like, what the hell is this? That was my reaction. I was like, what are we doing? And I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see how they try and finish this off. I am, but I'm going to have very low expectations.
I have one last thing I want to discuss with you.
Yes.
This is Carrie Ann Moss at the end of the episode where she says, we're going to tell the truth, the whole truth, but we're going to leave out the part where I killed 30 people.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about that.
And we're going to leave out the part where my Jedi Padawan really couldn't control his emotions and ran off without my blessing, even though I ordered him several times to... It was kind of like the Willy Wonka. It was like, stop. Please don't go near the Chocolate River. Please.
Yeah.
Oh, please don't. Look, he's like, it's like Carrie Ann Moss has kind of resigned herself to be like, please don't do that. Please. Pretty please. Cherry on top. I've told you 3 times now, don't touch the hot stove.
I did find that in the scenes you're talking about, one interesting thing about some of, I guess, these characters that I kind of honed in on, when Soul talks about, I guess, the virgins and the importance of their mission, and kind of gives Torben the, hey, this is important work we're doing, right? When he talks about that, he lays it out there for him. And Carrie Ann Moss, Master and Dara, basically says to Soul, listen, I give him just enough so he can figure it out on his own and he could come to his own conclusions. You basically just spoon-fed him the whole thing. That's not how I want to train my Padawan. I thought that was kind of interesting, But if we actually had more moments of things like that, where you're actually developing the characters and making me feel one way or another about these characters. There's not enough of moments like those where I can be like, maybe there's some tension between Soul and Indar. And I think there was, but not enough to really they could have really done more. And I don't know. That was just one thing that I had from that little interaction early on in this episode. I thought it was interesting. But those things are too few and far between. We did run a poll.
Oh, go ahead. What was the poll? Give me the question.
Okay. This was, did you like episode 7? Did you not like episode 7? Our audience, 59% did not like, 41% liked.
I'm surprised that the liked was that much. To be honest with you.
I am too. But, hey, I mean, maybe there's something in there that wasn't for me, but was for somebody else. Listen, if you liked it, you liked it, and I'm happy you did. I'm having a harder time getting through this series. I'm trying to be open-minded with every episode, but when they put something like this up there, it becomes just like, what? Like, it becomes very much, you're like, oh, well, it's only a half hour. So,
but really, do you need an hour at this point to sit there and say, I know what shit smells like?
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't have to sit here for another half hour to be able to taste it at this point.
Yeah. Yep. It's true. Sad but true. But we'll leave it there. We got one more episode left. We got the big finale airing July 16th. And we'll see. I predict Osha's going to be the Acolyte. She's going to kill Soul. That's kind of where I'm sitting. I'm going to hold to that, and we'll see what happens. But I don't know. Until next time, before we split, check us out next Thursday. We have a big interview coming up. Christopher, you want to tell us about our guests?
Next Thursday, July 18th, Hayden and I visit the Theater of Terror with director/writer/star of the movie, Tom Ryan, and producer/writer, Todd Staruk. Hayden, have you watched both movies yet?
Just one so far. I got the weekend paved for the first Theater of Terror.
Okay.
And I'm ready to go.
And again, very excited about this. It's going to be the first time we have 4 people on an interview at the same time, ourselves and 2 other people. And if you don't know, Todd Staruk also does horrornerd.net, where it's like the go-to place for all your horror news information. So check that out too. And again, we're very excited to have them on.
Should be good. Check us out. Join us for the fun. Hope to see you guys there on Thursday. All right, and we'll catch you next time.